Good morning and welcome to a very special pre-recorded edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Much appreciation for your joining us and listening to our programming. Today's guest is an ex-lesbian who says the homosexual lifestyle has unhappy consequences. If it's legal, is it okay? Her life in a tailspin from an abusive failed marriage, Sylvia Hache fell into the welcoming arms of the homosexual community. She embraced the lifestyle wholeheartedly, even undergoing a civil union with her partner. Hache's author of Insight, Was I Born Like This? www.sylviahache.com says she believes she finally discovered she was born to be gay, and for 13 years she joined others in fighting for acceptance and rights under the law. Eventually, she says, she came to realize that societal acceptance and legal protection don't guard against the detrimental effects of behaviors and lifestyles that are bad for you. When things began to go disastrously wrong in her life, Hache came to the conclusion she had made a choice, a bad one. Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, Ms. Hache, and it takes much courage for you to tell this story, and we look forward to hearing more of it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Armstrong. It's great to be here.
Talk about, tell us about your life, the changes, what you were led to believe, the facts, and then where you are today.
Okay. Well, I was married to a man in a common law relationship for several years, and after about 8 years of being together, he violently assaulted me, and that, I believe, scared me from being with men. And I accidentally walked into the homosexual world. I actually walked into a lesbian nightclub not knowing that it was such, and it just intrigued me, and it pulled me in, and it drew me in, and that's when I began believing that I was discovering that I was actually gay.
Did you ever have any of these inclinations ever in your life towards women?
Well, when I recalled back to my teenage years, when I was in high school, I remember noticing the pretty women, absolutely. And as I was going through this phase of discovery for myself, I started recollecting back to those teenage feelings and desires. And so it seemed to justify that I was in fact gay because everything seemed to start making sense in that direction.
Tell us about your parents and your upbringing.
My parents are both, they're both Catholic, and our upbringing was normal and straight. My parents did believe and instilled upon us that being gay was a wrong lifestyle choice. So I didn't even venture down that path because of their beliefs. So that ended up being my beliefs as well. As far as my own childhood, there was no abuse. It was a very safe and very healthy and happy home. So nothing like that influenced my future at all.
Did you have children with your husband?
I did. I have 2 children, a son and daughter.
Mm-hmm. A son and daughter. So tell us about leaving your husband and what happens next.
Well, as I say, one night he just snapped and violently assaulted me. And so I proceeded to leave, and in fact, it only happened about a month or 2 after this actual assault that I ended up picking up a pamphlet in a local library that read ladies' nightclub, so I decided to check it out. I figured that it would be a safe place for me to go. I just thought there wouldn't be many men there, but I did not at all assume that it would be a lesbian nightclub. This was also back in 1992, so it was 20 years ago. So I wouldn't have imagined that a gay lesbian nightclub would have been advertised in a public library back then.
So obviously someone assumed you were there looking for companionship.
I would assume so. I did meet someone that very first night that I was there, and nothing transpired. I was just gazing out into the sea of women, and I was enthralled with watching them dance like straight people would dance, and And so I was just captivated by it, and she's the one that leaned over to me and said, what do you think of this lesbian nightclub? And I was just dumbfounded and didn't really know what to think, but that night just kind of ended shortly thereafter. But the memory of being in that nightclub and just needing and desiring to want to go back and learn more about what the homosexual lifestyle was all about, it definitely had a grip on me. I definitely was compelled, and I desired to learn more about this lifestyle.
So, how did you end up with someone that you ended up in a civil union with?
Well, after about 6 years of being in the lifestyle, now bearing in mind that I did eventually hook up with other gay friends, and they really helped me through this journey. They helped me discover who I was and helped me feel comfortable with it. I think that most people who are gay or who are trying to feel comfortable with that aspect of their life go through more or less a conversion process where, when I first started, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be gay. I wanted to be gay out and proud, not straight. But in order to get there, I didn't know how to get there. And so these lady friends of mine would sit there and they would help me to, think the way they thought and understand what they knew, and we would even listen to gay-friendly music, whether it was the artist that was gay or whether the songs were gay-friendly. But just bit by bit, they helped me feel very comfortable.
What was your relationship with your children as all this was going on?
Through extensive court battles, by the time they were 9 and 11, I had lost them to their father.
Did your homosexual lifestyle have anything to do with this?
I believe so at the time, absolutely. I've since learned that that's not necessarily the case.
What was the case?
I believe that my life was being cursed, and I didn't even realize it.
You mean by God?
I do. Yes.
Oh, it's okay. Listen, let me raise this with you. How much did you agonize about actually going through the civil union with your partner? I
didn't. I loved her. I was absolutely in this lifestyle 110%. It was who I was. It was all of me. And when I found her, I felt so honored and privileged to be in a relationship with someone who loved me back equally. So, no, I didn't struggle going through the civil union at all.
The relationship was never violent or intense?
A violent relationship with my wife? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, was it ever violent?
No.
So it really worked for you?
Oh, absolutely. I was fully gay. I didn't have a problem with being gay at all. No.
So it was legal, but it wasn't okay.
Okay, I understand the question you're addressing. What I discovered is that, you see, back then I was fighting for legal rights. I was actually petitioning for legal rights so that we would have the privileges that a lot of gay people currently have today. But what I discovered is that it wasn't the relationship with my wife, who unfortunately we only stayed married for 2 years and then separated. But let me just address that a little bit too. We separated because there were so many struggles in our relationship that were out of our control. For instance, we had purchased a nice house and it was expensive, but I couldn't keep a job. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't. So our finances came against us, and just other issues that just really weighed heavy on our relationship. And so our relationship deteriorated because of that. But the curses continued. Now to clarify, cursing does not mean people swearing at you or disrespecting you. It is natural consequences to a chosen behavior. same as a curse or a natural consequence to smoking cigarettes is potentially lung cancer. So it's the behind the scenes. We all have free will to smoke cigarettes if we want. And in fact, we have the legal right to smoke cigarettes when we reach a certain age. But to have the legal right to do that still does not nullify the natural consequences.
Hold that point. Provocative discussion. If it's legal, is it okay? Sylvia Hache fell into the welcoming arms of the homosexual community. But what happened in the end? We'll be back.
You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
So you're talking about the smoke and the burden of being able to keep up and fill your responsibilities. Please continue.
I beg your pardon?
Please continue.
I was discussing natural consequences to our choices. And what I wanted to bring forth is that I discovered that there are, in fact, unforeseen natural consequences to to our choices, including the choice to live a non-straight lifestyle.
So, give us. I just want a more. So obviously, it was not unconditional because, for better or worse, in sickness and in health until death do us part. So like any marriage, whether it's heterosexual or not, there are still challenges that are inherent that you're going to have to face them. And depending on how you face them will determine the longevity of the marriage.
Absolutely. I mean, there are natural consequences in all areas of life, including relationally. I mean, specifically, we have natural consequences in all areas, mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally, financially. So if we are making poor choices in any one of those areas in our life, then we will set ourselves up to suffer the consequences.
So, do you still feel as though you are gay?
Do I still feel as though I'm gay?
Have you totally abandoned the gay lifestyle and now you're heterosexual again?
Yes.
Explain that transformation.
I couldn't have done it alone. When I first discovered that my life had been cursed, and that's why all these things were going wrong. To clarify, at one point I lost everything. I lost my home, my savings, my money, my job, my children, my sanity, my hope, everything. And that's when I was ready to move into my car. I'd lost everything. And that's when a Christian family basically rescued me. And they offered me to live in their home. And they weren't what people would consider, oh, here we go, these religious people. No, they didn't walk around with the Bible tucked under their arm all day long. They were just normal. But what I found with them while I was living there is that their life kept going smooth. Yes, they might be faced with challenges of sorts, but everything would just go smoothly in their life. And my life kept messing up. I was trying to get a job so that I could get money so that I could move out. And every time I tried to get a job, I couldn't keep it. So one thing after another. I mean, at one point I slipped on ice. I damaged my shoulder. Then shortly thereafter, I sprained and tore all the ligaments in my foot, so I needed to use crutches, which further aggravated my shoulder. And it was just a cycle of bad luck. And when I finally sat there one day, after a year of living there, and after having witnessed how smooth and calm their life was, a family of 5, husband, wife, and 3 kids, and I finally just asked the question, why is your life so smooth and why does mine keep messing up? And they said, because of your lifestyle choice.
Let me raise this one. So this was a total stranger, just strangers that just welcomed you into their home?
Actually, it was my now ex-wife's sister. So it was my ex-sister-in-law and her husband.
So she also, what you're implying here, even though she loved her sister unconditionally, she felt her lifestyle was wrong.
She did. But although she loved her unconditionally, you're absolutely right.
So,
sorry,
but how do you go from having intimate relation? Well, you were intimate with your husband, you were intimate with your companion, your, and then all of a sudden you had to make another transition. Help us understand, how do you go through that emotional and try to transition within your own anatomy?
Well, that's just it. Because I realized that my life was being cursed, I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. And when I asked them, I said, how do I get it from, how do I go from here? Because I asked exactly that question. And they said, the only thing you can do is pray that God will take the homosexual desire out of you. And I thought he was nuts. I did. I thought there's no way. I've been living this way for 13 years. It's impossible. And he said, if this is what you want, if you want your life to stop being cursed, this is the only way, because it is the natural consequences to making this choice, which technically breaks divine law. And divine law affects everybody. And see, I came to realize there are 3 different laws that affect us. There are societal laws, which are man-made. There are natural laws, such as the law of gravity. And then there are divine laws, which affect the quality of our life. So that's the part that gives us our happiness and our peace and joy and sanity of mind and clarity of thoughts. All those are ruled under divine law. So if we're breaking divine law, then it affects us emotionally, mentally, once again, physically, relationally, and financially. So so that's what I discovered in all this. It just goes beyond living a non-straight lifestyle.
But but are you not discussing things that you always knew?
Did I always know
these things?
No, I had no idea about divine law.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, tell us when you knew you were no longer a lesbian.
I had made the decision as soon as they had let me know this truth.
Or was it a decision, or was it a change within you?
Well, the choice was made in an instant, because I thought, okay, to me, as soon as I was notified this, I took it as a challenge. I took it as a dare. I said, okay, because what they promised me was, if I stopped living a gay lifestyle, everything I had lost would come back. Everything. And I said, oh, that's not even possible. And I even thought, I'll prove you wrong. So in that instant, I thought, well, I'm sure, okay, I will just stop being gay. I'll just stop hanging out at the gay clubs. I'll stop hanging out with my gay friends. I'll just stop. And lo and behold, immediately things started to turn around. And that is what is so amazing about this, is that my life changed overnight as soon as I made the decision that I would simply stop being gay. Wow, it just...
Did your gay friends meet you with derision?
No. I was a little bit detached from them, because I had already separated from my wife for, I think it was 3 years already. So, and I had moved to a smaller subdivision, and so there really weren't any homosexuals in sight. So I wasn't really into that lifestyle as strongly at that moment when I became privy to all this.
You say the right to live a non-straight lifestyle has been granted legal liberties and privileges throughout parts of the world. What is not being discussed are the potential negative effects associated with living the non-straight lifestyle. You want to share your experience so that others can make an informed choice. Talk about that.
Well, I have basically been touching upon that throughout this conversation, that although the law is legalizing the right for us to live this way, but they're not addressing the natural consequences.
Right, which you did. Have you reconnected with your children?
Oh, absolutely. That was one of those blessings that came to me as soon as I stopped living a gay lifestyle. They definitely came back to me, and now we have a relationship that is stronger and better than I ever even imagined.
So are you now involved with men?
I am, but I'm not dating, only because I quite honestly, I've kind of been preoccupied over the past few years, but I'm
But
happy.
there are no conflicts in your emotions?
No, none at all.
Wow, this is a remarkable story.
I am actually in a much better place today than I have been throughout my entire life. Yes, life is good.
So tell us about the other changes in terms of employment and in finding a place to live and just the whole emotional and also the living side of your life, being able to live, how it has been impacted.
Absolutely. Well, I found a beautiful home, and that's great. So I actually moved out of the Christian Friends basement, which is really, really thankful. And everything changed. My health improved. At one point, I was medically diagnosed to have bursitis in my shoulder, and that's been completely healed with no sign of any injury at all. I had become allergic to a huge list of things, and all the allergies are gone. My health's improved. Everything. What else? Job. I currently operate a 24-hour daycare, and the job stability has been so incredible in this job. It's magnificent. I've been busy even through the recession. In fact, at one point, I received a part-time job, because I was kind of praying about it one time that I was badly in debt and I just needed to get out. So I ended up going to a restaurant with my daughter, and as I was on my way out, I happened to speak to, I didn't know it was the manager at the time, but
just hold there. We're going to come back with a wrap. Just hold there. Don't go anywhere. Our guest, Sylvia Hache. I'm Armstrong Williams.
You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the broadcast. So tell me about the old relationships when you were in the lesbian lifestyle and how your relationships have changed. Do you still have lesbian friends? Do you spend time with heterosexual couples because that's more where you are in your life? Just tell us about that transformation.
Well, I'm still friends with my ex-wife, and it's been 10 years since we divorced. As far as, now I am once again living in kind of the suburbs, in the suburban area. So there aren't many gay people around, so I don't hang out with them, but I don't have any concerns about it. I'm not against gay people. Let me qualify that. It's not, I love them. I believe that they are loving, kind people that are just trying to go out and have the freedom to love whomever they choose. I know, I was there. And it used to aggravate me when anybody would speak up against the gay community, because I thought, you're either for me or you're against me. So I embrace them. I am just trying to show them something that the government is not showing them. I'm showing them that there are consequences to this lifestyle choice.
So what message do you have for them that are listening to the show to overcome?
Well, first and foremost, my message is to state clearly that we all have free will choice, and we all have the free will to choose whatever lifestyle we want. And that is a definitive, absolutely. But linked with that is there are repercussions, there are consequences to our choices. So if they can just simply be aware, and that is my purpose in having written this book, and the message that I'm trying to share is, if you think that this is going to, that to enter into a non-straight relationship is going to make your future smooth and you'll be happy and everything will go perfectly great, that is not necessarily the case. You may be abruptly surprised by a lot of things behind the scenes that you are not even aware of could actually affect your life.
How has this impacted your children?
This whole experience, having them brought back into my life, has completely, wow. It's a relationship beyond anything I had ever hoped for or imagined or dreamed of. We have such a close, respectful relationship between the three of us, and I am so incredibly blessed to have them now, who are my friends, and they're so dear to my heart, and I am so pleased the way that everything has turned out.
What do you think that you lost being away, and what did you gain being away?
I lost a cursed life, and I gained a blessed one.
Wow. What about your relationship with your ex-husband?
It was a bit rocky when we parted ways, so we don't have we don't have a close relationship now, but I definitely wish him all the best. He's been remarried now for many years, and I'm happy for him, and I wish him and his wife all the best.
Will it be difficult for you to marry again?
No. But this time around, I'm not going to choose. I'm going to wait until the right person comes along, and basically I'm going to let God choose.
Are your parents living?
Yes, both of them.
Were they supportive of you throughout this entire transformation?
My father was. My mother, being a stronger Catholic, just believed right from the beginning that it wasn't God's will for my life, and although she never turned away from me, she didn't support our marriage, my marriage to my wife. But my father supported me so much in the gay lifestyle, and I had convinced him and my sisters so much that I was gay when I was entering into that even when I finally turned around and said, okay, I'm not gay anymore, they were still supporting me to continue to be gay because they believed that was who I truly was.
Well, what was it like when you had your wife around your family and your children versus your husband?
They completely accepted it. No problems at all.
That is just a story. So you actually believe that in these civil unions, in these marriages, in the homosexual lifestyle, there are so many things they don't share with you that exist, and the challenges, because they just don't share it because it would not support their agenda, the belief in their own lifestyle.
Well said.
Do you care to elaborate?
Sure. I think that I think it's for the same reason why the government approves of and legalizes drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes. But as they're legalizing it and giving us the legal privilege to do that, they're not emphasizing that you can end up becoming an alcoholic with liver disease or all these other multitude of disease, or smoking that you could end up with lung cancer. They are simply granting people the legal privilege and right to smoke or drink, and they even allow them to do it to whatever degree they want. So someone can drink not only what they want, but as much as they want. So they could legally, or yes, they could, with legal rights, become an alcoholic. So when the government is allowing for non-straight unions and non-straight rights, absolutely, they are giving that right and that privilege to all of us. But they are not letting us know what the repercussions are.
You know, I can't thank you enough for your courage, for sharing with us, your honesty, the transformation. Insight. Was I boring like this? How can someone get a copy of your book?
They can go to my website at www.sylviehache.com, and you can order it there.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Armstrong.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.